Phew.
Yeah. Good morning. Welcome to the Good morning. Welcome to the UU community of Halifax. My name is Ben Robbins, and I'm glad to be your minister. Our mission is to provide a community that nurtures personal and spiritual growth, practices inclusiveness, celebrates diversity, and affirms individual and collective commitment to community service and social justice. We are a community for all ages. Some of us are newborn babies, discovering wiggles and poops and smiles. Some of us are growing into adolescence with more and more independence and responsibility. Some of us are young adults, perhaps lifting up our dreams in a time of both crisis and opportunity. Some of us are middle-aged, perhaps having become connoisseurs of life and eager to share our wisdom, perhaps struggling with burdens that put us on our knees. And some of us are in old age, experience anything from elderhood to invisibility. Today, we explore the spirituality of aging, with our guest speaker, Anne Bachma, joining us on Zoom from Hamilton, Ontario. Very good to see you, Anne. I will give Anne a full introduction after the chalice lighting. Please see the announcements in the order of service, and note that today at 4 p.m. we have Spirit Circle happening right here, and all are welcome. Thank you to our volunteers and staff who make our Sunday services possible. We have Riley Friesen on tech, Tristan Kellaway on keys, and today Molly Hurd is doing childcare. And a special thank you today to our HR committee as we advertise for a coordinator for our children's program. Thank you so much for your work. And now we have Margaret Grau-Braith with our land and climate acknowledgements.
We are meeting this morning in Mi'kma'ki, the ancestral, the unceded home
of the Mi'kmaq people. Also home of the hemlocks, the spruce, beaver, salmon, moose, all the larger and smaller creatures of the land and sea and lakes that are now home to all of us who share this place. Today, we also share the changing climate and the effects on the land and sea. We know we have had a significant drought this summer here in Mi'kma'ki, where most of us never expected it. We had significant wildfires in Nova Scotia and then unprecedented rainfall only 2 years ago. The sea is warming so much that the marine life is changing, and it eats away at our coastlines. But this is a global situation. Drastic changes are happening all over the world. Every year for the past 30 years, there have been UN conferences with countries from all over the world attending in an attempt to reach global agreement on reducing the carbon emissions which we know are heating the planet. This year, there has just been another one, again, with no agreement to reduce the use of fossil fuels. Again, it has been blocked by the power of the petrostates. But there were 50,000 people at that conference in Belém, Brazil. Apparently, there was also a fire in the building. There were flooding rains and intense heat and humidity. Belém is right on the equator in the Amazon, a setting guaranteed to bring climate change to the fore. The chief negotiators were stymied again, but a number of other very significant agreements were reached. Just to give you an idea, billions of dollars in funding was committed for protection of forests in the Amazon and the Congo Basin, and to secure land rights for indigenous peoples and Afro-descendant groups. The Alliance of Champions for Food Systems Transformation has gained new members, and the United Nations Environment Program and partners launched a global food waste initiative. The Gates Foundation announced over $1 billion to support climate adaptation for farmers in sub-Saharan Africa and South Asia. Several different initiatives for reducing methane were set up and funded. And Brazil, the host country, committed to bring all of its 5.7 million square kilometers of national waters under sustainable management by 2030. And there are more, all very commendable and full of hope, in spite of the overall cloud of the frustration of the influence of the fossil fuel nations and lobbyists. What gives me even more hope, though, is that several countries, led by Colombia and the Netherlands, supported by Brazil, are planning their own conference in April to work on the real question, yet to be seriously tackled by these COPs. How does the world actually move away from oil, coal, and gas? Stay tuned.
Thanks, Margaret. We now have a Canvas update from Pam Berman.
Up here. We are now, this is our 4th week. I'm going to do one final update next week, regardless of if we made it or not, and then wait until I have a final tally. But over the past week, we have now put the total up to $80,678, which is 70.1% of our goal.
I'll light our chalice with the hope that values of inclusion, compassion, open-mindedness, thriving love can be celebrated by all people, everywhere, through all stages of life. May everyone feel like they are part of the interdependent web. I'm very glad now to introduce our speaker, Ann Bachma, who I know from Unicamp, which is a UU campground, and from when I did my internship with the UUs in Hamilton, Ontario. Ann is the author of My Year of Living Spiritually, One Woman's Secular Quest for a More Soulful Life, which won the 2020 Hamilton Literary Award for Nonfiction, and other awards. Ann also coaches people to write their memoirs, and she hosts events called 6-Minute Memoirs, where people share parts of their memoir on a shared theme. They're absolutely beautiful events. Ann is also a workshop and a retreat leader, and she's a columnist at the Hamilton Spectator. And she is an active member of First Unitarian in Hamilton. Ann, it is so good to see you, and thank you for being with us today.
Thank you so much. It's wonderful to be with all of you. And I believe I'm doing a reading now. Is that right, Ben?
Yes, please.
Okay. This is called Prayer for the Second Half of Life. And it was created by two Unitarian ministers, Darcy Elizabeth Heckvick Lane and Mary Giargolia. Quite a mouthful, those two names. A prayer for the second half of life. Spirit of life, we hold in our hearts all who are in the second half of life, those who aspire to move from aging to saging. We breathe with those whose hearts have been broken open, that we may continue to grow in love. We breathe with all who have been disappointed, that we may continue to dream. We breathe with all who no longer find delight in the activities of our youth, that we may find new delights. We breathe with those who live with daily pain, that we may find comfort and strength to greet each day anew. We breathe with those experiencing new limits in the body, grieving the loss of what we once could do, held by the body's possibilities still with us. We breathe with those whose fire is running low. May we open to the spark of inspiration and new life.
And our opening hymn is number 1007, There's a River Flowing in My Soul. I can bring you a hymnal if you need it. The lyrics are going up on the screens, so please rise in body or spirit. Feeling it. Feeling it. And with that openness and that flowing of the soul or heart or mind or whatever you refer to, we now have a time for joys, sorrows, and complex truths. Yeah, so just tuning into our experience of the week or longer, or what just happened at breakfast. We bring into our hearts into the sacred space of community. We open our hearts to each other and for each other so that those of us who carry pain might be comforted by the presence of a loving community, so that those of us who are happy might share their joy and see it multiply in others, so that those who carry complex truths might find a welcoming space to process the meaning-making in our lives. This over here is our communal well that holds all of our stories. And the water can remind us of our connection to all of life and to the earth itself. So if you have a joy, a sorrow, or a complex truth in your heart, we invite you to share and place a stone in the well. And you're also welcome to place the stone in silence. And if you're willing, please speak from near the well so that those of us on Zoom can see.
I've had a bit of a week. I'm going to have to put 3 stones in there. One stone is for joys. My daughter turned 34. I turned 67. It was lovely. I lost a colleague. The one that I mentioned was in palliative care, passed. And another colleague's daughter was involved in a very serious pedestrian vehicle collision and is not doing well in hospital. So this is for Eileen and her daughter, Kate.
Speaking of grieving, my favorite sister died on Wednesday. All the years I was up in Toronto, she had her babies, and well, she got married and had her babies, and it was a very close relationship. And she's gone.
Do a stone for you.
Oh, I don't forget the stone. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Etta Ham. Most of you know me. I don't know if... Oh, yes, of course. Can you hear me now? There was an obituary in the paper, was it yesterday, I think? And some of you may have seen it, a person that some of us would know and remember. Cynthia Marshall has died. Yeah. And as you know, she suffered very greatly with, was it called the rheumatoid arthritis? Rheumatic or something like that? Yeah, she suffered very, very greatly and missed a lot of church and so on. And I read the obituary that was also much longer on the website of the funeral home that they used. And she lived a very exciting life formerly that perhaps a lot of us didn't know about, mainly to do with horses. She was a champion horse, what do you call it? I know, equestrian of some level. And I forget the details. I'm not a horsewoman myself. So I feel that her death was rather sudden because I was speaking with her on the phone just very briefly on a small matter just quite recently. And she seemed, you know, as well as usual, but there it was, her obituary in the paper just a few days ago. I think it said she died on the 21st 1st, which was just, short days ago.
She was at our Thanksgiving potluck. Yeah.
She what?
She was at our our Thanksgiving potluck.
Was she really?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Wow. Oh, my goodness. So a stone for Cynthia Marshall, and may she rest in peace painlessly.
Yeah.
Thank you. And the comment was that she was at our Thanksgiving potluck.
Hello, months of none, and then 2 weeks running. My name is Andrew, for any of you who don't already know me. Last week, I had mentioned the passing of a friend and a good person named Carrie DeLaurie, and had mentioned as long as his name is still spoken, and ensuring that it is, but also his visitation was on Friday, and so here's a complex truth. We were all mourning our loss of him, but it was wonderful to see such a very wide range of groups of people whom he had affected, so that we all came together to speak on him. People that have remarkably little in common, save for Carrie DeLaurie. So first, a stone for him. Second is a small joy, which for those of you who have been paying attention environmentally, locally, have probably been also paying attention to the difficulties of developers wanting to infill the harbor over at Cove to build very expensive condos, blocking the harbor view of the very expensive condos they had already just built and sold. But the municipality has made legislation saying that no, you cannot infill the harbor to build whatever you like any more than you can infill the Northwest Arm. And despite resisting quite a bit, the provincial government has finally signed off saying, well, if they can prove that the federal government won't stop them from making this legislation, okay. But given that the federal government already agreed to exactly the same sort of legislation about the Northwest Arm, it seems very likely that they will simply do so again. So there, with our local politicians, a small win.
I'm glad to see Eta here, because she has done a brilliant job of mentioning that there's going to be a joyful event 2 weeks from today, the Wizard of Oz at Neptune. I have heard from at least 2 people so far that they are interested in going. I'm hoping that more of you will want to go. That's 2 weeks from today at Neptune. And you can talk to me more if you like about that.
And a brilliant job on the newsletter. Thanks again, Etta. And I will do one final stone for all the joys, sorrows, and complex truths that remain in our hearts. Our musical meditation today is Here Is That Rainy Day. Tristan. Thank you, Tristan. It is now time for our offering. The work of this community is made possible by donations of time, talent, and money. Yeah, thank you so much for the pledges coming in. Very much appreciate, as well as all the ways you show up with your time and your talents. Thank you for however you give, and we trust that you will give however much is right for you. Most donate by monthly e-transfer, and we also pass the baskets. And today, the baskets go to our operating fund. So whatever your situation, thank you for being part of this community. And our offertory hymn is number 128 in the Gray Hymnal, For All That Is Our Life. The lyrics are going up on the screen, so please rise in body or spirits. And if you would like a hymnal, please give me a signal. This reading is by Jane Kenyon. And when I go like this, would you please say, "It might have been otherwise"? it might have been otherwise. I got out of bed on 2 strong legs. I ate cereal, sweet milk, and a ripe, flawless peach. I took the dog uphill to the birchwood. All morning I did the work I love. At noon I lay down with my mate. We ate dinner together at a table with silver candlesticks. I slept in a bed in a room with paintings on the wall and planned another day just like this day. But one day I know it will be otherwise. We now have Anne Bachma with our reflection. So Anne, I have very much appreciated the reflective conversations we have had at Unicamp and at the Hamilton UUs. So I look forward to your insight.
Thank you so much, Ben, for inviting me. I am a Hamilton UUer, and Ben did work at the church for a while, and that's where I got to know him as well as at Unicamp. And it's just wonderful to be with all of you. I do have the opportunity to speak to quite a few Unitarian congregations, and it's always so lovely to see the braided services and how similar they are across North America. And I always feel like I'm with my people, even though I don't know you all. It's not every week that you get to see 2 octogenarian legends roll into your hometown and casually obliterate every stereotype there is about old age. That's what happened in Hamilton over the past week. Margaret Atwood, at 86, sharp as a blade and mischievous as ever, was here for a fundraising appearance for a Hamilton women's shelter and to promote her new, nearly 600-page memoir, Book of Lives, which I am thoroughly enjoying and highly recommend. Then there was Paul McCartney, age 83, performing an impressive 36 songs over a nearly 3-hour concert that showcased his energy and his musicianship at Hamilton's newly refurbished downtown Coliseum. Watching them both in the same week felt like witnessing a quiet revolution, proof that our culture's old ideas about slowing down, fading out, or becoming lesser past a certain birthday are long overdue for retirement. If we want a masterclass in vitality, we don't need to look to wellness influencers or tech bros with Cairo chambers. We can look to people like these artists who have been shaping the world with their art for all their adult lives. They have certainly mastered the art of living well when you are old, still engaged, still contributing, still with a sense of purpose, still providing pleasure for many. Did you know that there's close to 100 million people who are 55 or older in North America, and that more than 10% of the population are 65 and older, and that's going to double in the next 5 years? That's a powerful demographic, one that has traditionally been at the forefront of positive change, from the civil rights movement, the anti-apartheid movement, the fight for women's equality, gay rights, transgender rights, disability rights, Black Lives Matter. I have a lot of hope that this generation isn't finished its business. But there is a lot of work to be done, we know that. And the good news is that we're living longer and healthier than ever before. If you're a 60-year-old woman today, you have a 25% chance of living to 100. Guys, you have only a 10% chance of becoming a centenarian, but with good diet and exercise, you too can extend your years. The process of aging is often framed as something to be avoided at all costs, something undesirable, filled with physical decline, the erosion of beauty, and the inevitable approach of death. But what if we reframed aging as a spiritual journey? What if, instead of seeing aging as something to dread, we viewed it as a gift to be embraced? Beautiful young people are accidents of nature, but beautiful old people are works of art. Those are the words of Eleanor Roosevelt, a woman who worked tirelessly for human rights until she died at 78. The American surgeon and writer Sherwin Nuland wrote The Art of Aging when he was in his mid-70s, and acknowledges that the onset of aging can be so gradual, we're often surprised when it's fully upon us. Our bodies change, our senses dull, our endurance wanes. But these are undeniable realities. But age doesn't just take things away from us, it also gives us extraordinary things. He writes, age concentrates not only the mind but the body's energy, leading many to new sources of creativity, perception, and spiritual intensity. The years after midlife, from age 60 to 100 and even beyond, so often viewed in popular culture as a time of diminishment, can in fact offer a vital sense of urgency to our lives as we become more aware of the limited years we have left. Some people urgently try to hang on to their youth with Botox and fillers and fancy cars and excessive exercise. But I like what the actor Meryl Streep has to say about this sort of foolishness. Don't waste so much time worrying about your skin or your weight. Develop what you do, what you put your hands on in the world. What you put your hands on in the world. Rather than resisting the changes that come with age, we can accept them as part of the art of living. Every stage of life is an opportunity for growth, and in the later years, we may find that our spiritual muscles, those intangible faculties like patience, acceptance, gratitude, forgiveness, can become stronger even as our physical muscles grow weaker. It's interesting exercise, isn't it, to look back in your life from the vantage point of a senior? Where were you then, and where are you now? What lessons have you learned? Today I am 63, 64 next summer, but when I look back at my 20s, I thought I was all grown up. I left the Dutch Reformed fundamentalist religion I was raised in. I was threatened with excommunication from my church and became alienated from my family of origin, an experience I wrote about in my memoir, My Year of Living Spiritually. In my 20s, I found my calling as a journalist, and I met the man I would marry at 23 and stay with for more than 30 years. In my 30s, I focused on my career as an editor and gave birth to two daughters, now 28 and 25. I love being mother more than anything, although it filled me with anxiety too. Things began to fall apart, as they do for many of us in my late 40s and early 50s. My marriage began to falter. There were secrets that had been kept from me. I was disillusioned, but I stayed. I started drinking more. In my 50s, my marriage ended. My daughters left home, and I felt adrift. It didn't help that I lost my best friend to COVID conspiracies. Another dear friend at 65 was killed by a truck driver who ran her down at an animal rights protest. The grief hit hard, and so did depression. I sought help. But I can honestly say my sixth decade has been my best. I found a new love on Tinder of all places. And the trajectory of my career changed from journalism to being an author, a memoir coach, a writing retreat leader, a speaker. I have found my purpose and my calling, which is helping other people tell their stories and telling my own story. I don't worry about money like I used to. I don't worry about my kids like I used to. In fact, I'm the freest and happiest I've been in my life, and this comes as a surprise to me. There's a lot of truth in the words of the architect and Unitarian Frank Lloyd Wright, who says, "The longer I live, the more beautiful life becomes." Of course, I know, you know, it could all end tomorrow with a simple diagnosis, a tragic accident. Now that my years are limited, if I'm lucky, I might live another 20 or so, according to the life insurance tables. I am more aware than ever that every day matters. And I want to say yes to everything. Yes to speaking up and being more courageous. Yes to making new friends. Yes to trying new food and going to new places. Yes to being more politically engaged. Yes to having more fun, to dancing in my kitchen in the morning or trying gummies like I did for the first time at age 59. Yes to being thankful for each day, because if there's one thing I know for sure, it's that gratitude is the ultimate spiritual practice. How about you? What are you willing to say yes to? For many of us, retirement marks a significant turning point in our lives. The work that defined us for so many years is no longer our primary focus, and we are left to ask ourselves, who am I beyond my job, beyond my role in the world of productivity? It can be a time of uncertainty, of feeling adrift. but it can also be a time of liberation. As the writer Newland reminds us, we are so much more than what we do to make money. When we let go of our attachment to status and success, we make room for something deeper to engage, to emerge, a new sense of purpose, and a chance to live with greater authenticity. As we age, we develop a greater capacity for forgiveness, understanding, and compassion that extends beyond our own personal lives and becomes a force for the collective good. We begin to understand that the strength we find within ourselves can uplift others, and that in our elder years, we can become a source of spiritual strength for our communities. Our spirituality deepens precisely because we have weathered storms. We know that fear, anxiety, despair will not carry us forward. What will carry us forward is hope, resilience, love, the very qualities that aging can cultivate in us. We can move from a place of fear to a place of action. Action driven not just by the passion of our youth, but by the wisdom of our years lived. We are never too old to contribute to making this world more just, more compassionate, more equitable. There's a growing number of elders, for example, organizing for climate justice, advocating for the rights of marginalized communities, and speaking out against discrimination and inequality. Whether it's volunteering for a cause, mentoring younger people, or simply using our voices to speak out for what's right, we can still be agents of change. For example, in my hometown of Hamilton, 4 elderly people, seniors for climate justice, the youngest 78 and the oldest 98, were arrested last year at a branch of the Royal Bank in Canada, the largest banking investor in fossil fuels in Canada. And what an inspiration they are. In these turbulent times, I invite the elders among us to ask ourselves, what can we do? How can we step forward today? How can we bear witness to the world and offer our wisdom and compassion? It may not always feel like we can change everything, but we can change what is within our reach. We can take one small step. And together, our collective voices, seasoned by years of experience, can make an extraordinary difference. As we age, we know too our relationships can deepen. We have the chance to cultivate lasting friendships that span decades, to offer wisdom and mentorship to the younger generation, and perhaps to forgive those who have hurt us, freeing ourselves in the process. These are spiritual practices that, as the writer Joan Chittister, author of Becoming Fully Human, says, we can only truly engage with in the later stages of our life. She writes, old age is not a free ride to irresponsibility. Now we must take our place among the sages of the world, comparing, evaluating, cajoling, and bringing experience to bear, as have the elders of every generation before us. We begin to recognize how much energy we've spent holding on to grudges, regrets, past wounds. As we age, we realize that forgiveness of others and often ourselves is a spiritual practice that frees us. It frees us from the bitterness of the past and opens us up to the possibilities of the present and the future. And in doing so, we make more room for love to enter. In the end, we know what's important, not tighter skin, but tighter relationships, not wealth, but health, not money, but meaning, not accumulating more, but letting go of the stuff that weighs us down. Aging forces us to confront mortality more directly than when we were younger. We experience the death of loved ones, and we heard that here today during Joys and Sorrows. Our bodies betray us in big and sometimes small ways, sometimes huge ways. We are reminded daily that we are not invincible, but it's precisely in these moments of vulnerability that our spirituality can deepen. We begin to realize we cannot control everything. We are not the masters of time. We know that life is fragile and precious. And this recognition, this acceptance of our limitations, can lead us into deeper relationships with what is truly sacred. In the face of life's challenges, whether it's the loss of a loved one, a change in health, the approach of our own mortality, we have the opportunity still to ask, what now? What dreams do we still want to chase? What stories do we still want to tell? What relationships do we still want to deepen? We can be spiritual giants even in our later years. We have the opportunity to transform our experience of aging from one of decline to one of growth. We can move beyond our fear of death toward a deeper appreciation of life's fragility. We can become beacons of love, guides for younger people, and wise witnesses to the world's unfolding. So I ask you today, what can you do to embrace the fullness of your spiritual life in your later years? What wisdom do you have to offer the world? How can you step into your role as elder, someone who sees the world with clarity, love, and courage? Perhaps in the end, it's our awareness of death that makes us feel most alive. Again, the words of the writer Sherwin Newland, he says, "The greatest dignity to be found in death is the dignity of the life that preceded it." Let us live with dignity, with love, and with purpose, knowing that we are the artists of our own aging, and that the richness of life is always there for those who are willing to embrace it.
And thank you so much. It's an absolutely beautiful vision. I hope that some of you are experiencing some of that already, and it's just really exciting to imagine us all like really living into that. Let's actually take a moment to reflect and then take some time to open up the microphone. I'd love to hear your thoughts, where your mind went there. So let's just take a few breaths together, and then if someone would like to come up to get us started, we'll open up the microphone. While we're waiting, I'll just say I see Colin online. Colin, so glad you're out of the hospital. Good to see you. Second from the left. Sometimes it just takes a spark to get us going. Sometimes someone doesn't want to be first, but we'll go Kath and then Etta.
I turned 65 this year, and I feel like 30 years have been plowed on top of me all of a sudden. But there's one thing I learned today. I had to get gas, and you do learn something new every day. I found out with my new car that if I lock my car door, that I can't open my gas tank cover. So I decided to go in and buy my gift cards because it was a good sale. And I came back and I said, well, I'll give it a try. I'll unlock the door and see what will happen. And sure enough, the gas cover opened up. So you do learn something new.
First, I'll say that I found your talk brilliant, really, and it spoke to me loud and clear. And your talk was along the lines of a lot of reading I've been doing lately to try to help myself out of my aging dilemmas. And I'm wondering how might it be possible for me or anyone interested to get a copy of your talk, if that's not too intrusive upon anything. I'd appreciate that myself.
So, Anne, do you want me to check in with you later about that? Okay. Let's go to Marie online.
Yes, I want to share that when I learned that Dalhousie, you can go to university for free after you're 65. I was told this by a friend him and his wife I knew through the Quaker community, and he was the head of museums in Nova Scotia, had a PhD in archaeology, anthropology, but he said there was all these things that he'd wanted to learn. So I applied and discovered I had to even give my high school transcript. I just turned 84, but back then, so it was 1959, and I thought, oh my goodness. But anyhow, all technology, and they got my records, and I got accepted, and I didn't take it for credit. You can audit it, although occasionally I took an exam just to see. So for 3 years, I took all kinds of courses that were just wonderful. Seeing young people and just learning about things that I had wanted to for a long time. So I would highly recommend anybody who's interested to consider that.
So we'll do Pam and then Scott.
My mother is my hero. In her 50s, she took up horseback riding and rode horses until 80, until the pandemic. Then I wouldn't let her go back because, after you stop when you're 80, it might get dangerous. But she also took up pottery in her late 30s, and I just recently helped her with a pottery sale. So she's 87 and still doing pottery. And one of the things that I think has really helped her is because of those two, things, she has a lot of friends of different ages, and therefore you don't lose all your friends at once. So it's a very good thing to do that. She's my hero.
Scott?
Yes, thank you. Anne, that was a beautiful reflection. It resonated very deeply with me. I'll turn 89 in January, and you express things that I have been thinking about a lot. I would very much like to have a copy of your talk. I want to send it to a friend of mine that I've been communicating with in Germany. I have a lifelong companion there since we were 18 years old, communicating and having met a few times, and found that that communication that I've had over that lifetime has also been a spiritual practice, and it has deep meaning for both Uta in Germany and myself as we sail into the latter part of our life. Thanks again.
Thanks, Scott. So we'll go Marilyn. Was there one more? There's a couple more over here. Okay, so once everyone who's already put their hand up is gone, we'll take the conversation to social hours. But Marilyn, yeah.
I turned 78 2 days ago and lost my job on Tuesday night. So as most of you know, I've been working as a volunteer for 10 years with our refugee program. And IRCC keeps cutting and cutting. And on Tuesday night, we got an email that our spaces are being cut by a further 54%. So where Andrea and I have been doing 125 a year, this year we were cut to 104. We're hoping for 50 for 2026. But my point is, I have always been a woman with a cause, and I need a new cause.
Thank you. Brian?
Yeah, I'd like to thank you as well for the talk. I thought it was really wonderful on many, many levels. My dad wrote and published a book about 35 or 40 years ago called Canada's Fighting Seniors, and he was pursuing in that book one of the themes that you had, which was that the common view of aging was decrepit old people. And when he researched the facts, actually most old people were very healthy and able to do lots of things. And he talked about the role of seniors in social justice, a variety of social justice issues. So that was the theme of the book. So I was sort of reflecting on that as you were speaking. And the other thing I just was I have been reflecting on as I age is the miracle of life. And there's all these different ways of thinking about it. But it's something that's been, I guess it's like part of my spiritual journey in the way that you were talking about it, is just reflecting on the nature of life and how in some ways it's very ordinary. Everyone understands it's a miracle, but then there's just all these different ways of thinking about it that are really quite marvelous and multi-layered, and I just find that really a very satisfying part of aging.
Was there one more person who, sorry? Oh, sorry, I couldn't see.
From here?
Do you mind?
Oh, well, okay. I'm loud enough, I think.
I also want to thank Anne. It was a wonderful talk, but I think a lot of us want a copy of that. So gear up the Gestetner and let her go. Thank you.
Anne, did you want to say anything?
Well, I just want to say thank you again, and it's lovely to have the open conversation after service. I often feel when I go to a play or something moves me, I really want to talk with other people and share, my thoughts and feelings. So it's really wonderful that you have that practice in your community. I'm also really interested. I hadn't heard the term complex truth before with joys and sorrows, so I've learned that from you. And there was one other thing that was different. Oh, the land acknowledgement along with the climate justice comments. Again, I haven't seen that before in a Unitarian church, so I think you're quite progressive down there. Yeah, I mean, my mother's 81 years old. I just spent 3 days with her. She lives about an hour away from me, and her partner is in a senior's home. He's 91. And he's failing, and it's very difficult to see, and I really feel for him, and I feel for my mother. And I just want to share a quick story if I can. And when I was visiting her this week, we went to, his name is David, and we went to the seniors home. Well, he's in a nursing home. He's in a wheelchair now. He can't walk, and he was kind of stooped over, and my mom turned to me and she said, he's not having a good day. Within an hour, he was like a plant that had revived. We shared a Tim Hortons coffee. My mother read a Christmas story to him. We put some music on. She rubbed his back. He rubbed her back. And I took a photo of the two of them sitting together, her reading to him because his eyesight is gone now and he can't really read. And I just saw this incredible love between the two of them. And he was laughing and smiling and just the human touch, human connection. He went from someone who was looking like he was having a really bad day to someone who was alive again. And isn't that what we all need, right? Some human connection. And we have that in our community. And we're so lucky, us Unitarians. So thank you again so much for having me. I do write a newsletter every month. I put it in the chat box. You can find it at annbookma.com. Please sign up. I write a message every month. I make book recommendations. You can learn about my writing stuff that I do online. And it's a great way to stay in touch. So please do sign up. That would be wonderful. Thank you again, Ben.
And Anne, if you can stick around afterwards, we have a chat on the online group. There's about 17 of us online.
Great, thank you. Our closing hymn is I Am Willing by Holly Near. The lyrics, yeah, let's do this. The lyrics are going up on the screen. Please rise in body or spirits. seated. Whew. So as you age, may you embrace the journey and choose a path of depth, of openness, transformation. May you become or continue to be spiritual giants. I will extinguish the chalice with these words. May we carry in our hearts the glow of love, the light of truth, fire of commitment, and the power of transformation. Spirit Circle is later this afternoon at 4 p.m. right here. All are welcome, and there's coffee now in the social hall. Our service is over. Go in peace.